Event that we hear a lot of in BioShock Infinite is the Boxer Rebellion, which occurred through 1898 to 1901. The Boxer Rebellion occurred in China. This really impoverished group of Chinese civilians. I'm not going to try and say the name of the group that they decided to form in Chinese because I'd probably butcher it, but they're called the Righteous Harmonious Fist, which is actually pretty badass for a political organization. It kind of puts Democrats and Republicans to shame. So the Boxers, or the Righteous Harmonious Fist, actually practice martial arts, which kind of explains their name, the Righteous Harmonious Fist, and it also explains the title of the Boxer Rebellion. A lot of the Boxers believe that these martial arts would actually grant them superpowers. So one of the primary reasons behind the Righteous Harmonious Fist rebellion was because of the imperialism occurring in China during the time period. With this imperialism came the rapid spread of Christianity all throughout China, and this political organization viewed this religion as imposing on Chinese culture, and they essentially thought it was killing off what was left of their own heritage. So with the union of the Boxers and the Empress of China, the organization gained some power. However, then all of a sudden the Eight Nation Alliance came in, which included countries like England and America, and that was pretty much the end of the Boxer Rebellion. There were atrocities committed on each side. The Boxers killed thousands of innocent Christians, and then the Eight Nation Alliance came in and beheaded anyone they even thought to be related to the Boxer Rebellion at all. I think with this, it's important to note that Colombia actually seceded from the United States in 1901, right after the Boxer Rebellion occurred. It's important to note that Comstock takes this battle, same thing, whatever. He takes the rebellion and actually uses it as leverage later on. So pretty much Comstock thinks that he, out of all the Eight Nations, is the one responsible for the success of the Boxer Rebellion, if you want to call it a success at all. So while I'm sure there were no giant zeppelins flying around China during the Boxer Rebellion, it's kind of an interesting connection to pinpoint. But one of my favorite connections between BioShock Infinite and actual history is actually one that's not really addressed in the game itself, but it's actually seen within the art of the game. So the Chicago World's Fair took place in Chicago, surprise, in 1893. And once you kind of figure out what the World's Fair is, you can really see how much Ken Levine was really influenced by it. It was meant to showcase American exceptionalism. Sorry, America, you're exceptional. So it showcased all kinds of stuff. So anything from new things in industry, novel architecture, new things with fashion. Pretty much America just wanted to show how badass they were. And this fair had everything. The world's very first Ferris wheel, a 1,500-pound statue, chocolate people, a Venus de Milo. Hello, why wasn't I there? Because I love chocolate. The fair had around 28 million visitors, which especially during that time period is a lot of people. One of the biggest attractions at the World's Fair, aside from being the World's Fair itself and the Ferris wheel and the chocolate statue, was the White City, which was an area of the fair that was built with a really neoclassical architectural style, kind of Romanesque in a sense. There were beautiful white buildings with massive columns and spotlights shining on them, and it would reflect on the water. It kind of gave the city the appearance that it was floating. Columbia, anybody? Eric Larson, who wrote The Devil in the White City, which is a book about kind of like America's version of Jack the Ripper, wrote that literally people were brought to tears when they came in and saw this place. It was that spectacular. So if you actually go in and Google images of the White City and Columbia from BioShock Infinite, aside from graphics, you're really not going to see that much of a difference. Another little fun note is that Columbia was actually launched into the air in 1893, which is the exact same year as the Chicago World's Fair. What's even more interesting is that it's not just the aesthetics of the city and the art that actually kind of transcend into BioShock Infinite, it's also what happened during the World's Fair as well. But one thing with the Columbian Exposition and America was to show the concept of the white man's burden, in which it was the job of the white man to educate and help the other lower races. Unfortunately, that was just the view of the time period. They would actually have like African Americans and Native Americans in these exhibits to show people how they were.
It was all me, please, please! Please, what are you doing? Come on, are you gonna throw it? Or are you taking your coffee black these days?
It's really similar to that moment in BioShock where you win the lottery and you have to go in, and because you won, you get to lynch an interracial couple. So one thing I found really interesting when I was researching all of this was that I never really learned a lot about the Battle of Wounded Knee or the Boxer Rebellion, despite the fact that America took a large part in both of those things. And I think it just shows a dark side of America's past that we're kind of afraid to explore, and don't really put in our history books, which is bad. We should definitely avoid biases in education. But this is a conversation and a topic for a completely different time. But to end on a more positive note, it's really amazing to see how video games can kind of inspire us to look at different historical context in a fictional realm into a real one. So yeah, thank you for watching the first episode of Pixel Hearts. Next time this airs, I will actually be heading to PAX Prime. So it'll probably be kind of like a mixture of vlogs and stuff like that. So stay tuned. Next week is Graduated Gaming, and I will see you guys soon.